Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to episode 383. It is Friday, and we have a great show tonight. So, Bitcoin's at 65,870. It dropped since yesterday. We were around 67,000, but we are still in an uptrend nonetheless, and I was not expecting much else to happen until this week would finish. I'm expecting more stuff to happen by next week. Whether that be good or bad would be up to the United States. It would be up to It would be up to Trump if he is going to be attacking Iran or not. Again, we're up against those fears, which is why I was completely against it from the beginning. I knew this was just going to be a prolonged issue of, oh, we're going to attack. Oh, we're not going to attack. Will it ever even happen? Like, for real, for real. I don't know. Every time there's like this new development, is like, oh, this time we're going to do it. I really don't think we will. Like this weekend, if people are expecting an attack this weekend, I really don't think we will, because we do expect the talks to continue by some point next week. So that's kind of like our little guarantor that we will not be going into an attack unless, I don't know, something happens. The Israeli decides to attack. The Israelis decide to attack them without our permission or something. That's one thing that we've discussed yesterday, is that that might happen, right? So that way the United States could just enter the war nonchalantly and be like, hey, we're here to clean up the mess, pal. We didn't start it. Same as what happened last year. I don't know if that's necessarily going to happen, but whatever. Get like a deal signed or just go to war, like do something. We don't want this prolonged. For the cryptos, man. We don't want them to suffer. But I know, of course, war no good, so I prefer a deal to be signed, and the Omani intercessor, I think that's what you call him, I don't know who he is, some random guy from Oman, says, yeah, guys, everything is good, and the talks are positive. Let's stay optimistic about it. I don't know how much more optimistic we can be, but we'll see what happens, I guess. Now, in the short term for Bitcoin, yes, we do have an uptrend, and yes, I do expect the uptrend to continue, because we do have, I don't know, this downtrend line comes from more longer time, but we have this one that comes from even longer time, so I feel like this one's easier to break out of. That line would be around 70,000. 70 to 71,000 realistically. So I do feel like we do have a chance at breaking that, or at least approaching 70,000 at some point next week. And I do expect it to rise. I would prefer for it to rise, of course. What's going to be the catalyst to allow it to rise? We do not know that yet. Maybe that's just wishful thinking, or maybe we are indeed very oversold and are just accumulating down here before we make the next leg up. Next leg up, of course, would be 80,000. We've been through worse, really, and at higher prices. Why are we all the way down here? Just doesn't really make sense to me. It doesn't, something's not clicking right, but okay. That being said, what can we expect for this weekend, really? Like, low volatility, no movement. We didn't attack Iran after markets closed, so, I think we're safe, maybe. And I also do not want to be the boy who cried wolf, giving you guys false alarms every time, like, oh, this time we might attack, this time, no, this time. So at this point, it's just like, it'll happen whenever it has to happen. Just gotta, if there's a deal signed, everything will be great. But it seems very unlikely. Seems like more likely that we will go to war. I don't know, Polymarket says it's a 50-50. We'll get into all of that when we get to our news section, which we do got a few amount of news to discuss about that, because Trump also had a speech at Corpus Christi in Texas that we'll be going over a little bit, talking about the situation. So that being said, for this weekend, Bitcoin could hover around 65,000. I don't expect much volatility, but if we do get some decay, I still expect it to stay above 63,000. 62, 63. Yeah. I would estimate more 63,000. So we should be good. I don't see any issues here. Other altcoins, of course, not rising, of course. Fair enough. Ethereum, 1,925, dropping from whatever we were trying to hold above 2,000. We are overshadowed by this one, but I feel like it's easier to break out of. Hence why I did not delete it, but I'm keeping it here for the time being because I expect by next week, these downtrend lines will start to be broken. Start breaking up. Am I saying this right? I'm struggling with English all of a sudden. And I expect Ethereum to stay above 1,800 still. Double bottom, uptrend, etc. Makes sense to me. Solana price is $81.89. Also, I guess, you know, it had its drop from over here around 87. Still not able to fully break above 90. That's like the 70,000 equivalent to what we see with Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin does break 70,000 next week, we'll see Solana above 90. That's what I can see for it. And uptrend also confirmed with it. Still, yeah, we had double false alarm, but I feel like this time it might indeed be the case. Depending, of course, on what Bitcoin does. Bitcoin does need to do the thing that we expect it to do, which is to rise next week. So you got to watch out for that first before giving permission for Solana to rise. That's what I see here. Hyperliquid, $27.08. Hitting a high of 30. Hey, at least we tried, I guess. Ultimate high is $29.94. Pretty close. And what do we even do here? I mean, this now looks like an actual valid downtrend. If we do adjust this line over here, but maybe it's too early to tell. I'm more inclined to believe that Hyperliquid will still continue to perform well. It's just being, you know, shaky a little bit below the $30 line, but I have a good feeling that we will start rising. And that's because I'm expecting Bitcoin to be on the rise, of course. Otherwise, just on pure price action alone, it is expected to continue dropping to levels such as, well, of course, if we lose 25, we're going to 2370, almost 24. And then ultimately, I guess we would find a bottom around 2250, we'll call it, before once again we get a chance at retesting whatever this downtrend line is. And then we would have room to start rising. That is only if Hyperliquid does the opposite of what markets do, which it does tend to do that sometimes. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But I don't expect this to keep dropping, really. Like, I would expect it to rise, especially if Bitcoin starts gaining some traction once again. So we'll see what happens. Sui, 89 cents. Really not much going on here. Trying to poke above $1 here. What was this ultimate high? $1.02. I'm sure we covered that already. On our way down, as of right now. As long as we stay above 82, we're good. 82, yeah, 82 is fine. 83. Still on an uptrend, so do not be afraid. All of these have a great setup for next week, is what I'm trying to say. Same with Litecoin, right? We flipped our trend over in our favor now. Invalidates at $50. Current price is 54. I see some good upward potential to around 70. I had that level marked. So if Bitcoin does perform well, reaching maybe 80,000 in the upcoming weeks, same deal with Litecoin in the upcoming weeks, could see $70, which that's a decent run. Lovely. If anything, is now the time to long. Maybe. I don't have the money. I can't do it, but you'd probably want to look at the 15-minute charts for something like this. Here would have been your first entry. You would have gotten stopped out right over here. Crazy wick. What even happened? What happened at 5:30 p.m.? No clue. I think I'd probably wait a little bit more. See if we get like some more decay. And then we start going in. Really in. But we'll see. I don't know. Too difficult to tell right now. Bear market, everyone's going to be wrong. BitTensor also keeping its uptrend. 170, it's the current price. Approaching 180, that's good. I think we could hit 200 with a good Bitcoin rise as well. Chainlink, $8.70. We should stay above 8.15. I think we'll be good. And actually 8.30. 8.30 makes more sense to me. If we do, you know, continue to decay, it should be around this level where we do see a good bounce. We'll have multiple stuff converging. So, yeah. Look out for that for Chainlink. And a rise for it could mean something about $10. Or maybe even more. We'll see. We'll see how it behaves with this downtrend line over here. Hedera. Same deal as well. This downtrend line is getting weaker, so it's pretty obvious that we will start seeing a really good rise with it. Although, yeah, this is pretty tough too. We could get some decay. It's not a big deal. If we do, we'll just, simply readjust wherever the uptrend line has to be. But super trend is remaining bullish as long as we stay above 09306 for Hedera. I do expect it to have a good rise. Monero, doing its trend flippage. Here you go. So I'm just going to shift all this back. Look how accurate these drawings are. Alright, we'll see how that goes then. Alright, so this is my new drawing, adjusted for time's sake. We'll see how low we drop, I don't know. But I do ultimately expect a rise with Monero. Charts playing out as planned. We'll see how that goes. Alright. That's all I really have for these. Nothing too crazy with these updates, I don't know. All we had today was a bit of a drop, which, hey, by the way, I predicted somehow. Don't ask me how. It was a 50-50 chance. And it was all dependent on how we were getting the economic data of today. Which, you know what, let's just go ahead and get into it. Our news, we had economic data today to discuss. It was the producer price index, and it was on the rise. All four metrics were higher than expected. January producer price index rose 0.5% month over month. We were expecting 0.3%. Year over year, we had 2.9%, expecting 2.6%. So inflation for producers is on the rise. And jobs market sucks. What do you do as a Fed governor? Do you cut rates or not? If you cut rates, inflation will be even more on the rise. If you don't cut rates, inflation will stabilize, but at the cost of the job market suffering. So what do you do? And then you'll cause a recession. So it's like, it's just gonna be stagflation at this point is what we call it, right? Inflation on the rise and jobs market keeps sucking. What do we do? January core producer price index also rose 0.8%, expecting 0.3%. And year over year core PPI was 3.6%. We were expecting 3.0%. Yep, so that's just inflation on the rise for you. Less odds of a rate cut overall, if you truly care about what this chart says. It's practically guaranteed that no rate cut for this upcoming meeting. 93%. One rate cut in June, one rate cut in September. The odds for September are closing in almost at 50-50 again. We'll see then. Next week we are getting the jobs data, next week Friday. So I guess we'll see how that goes as well. What else do we got? Iran has agreed to give up its stockpile of enriched material and allow for full verification by the IAEA of its nuclear program, according to Oman's foreign minister. So it's not confirmed by anyone other than this Omani, is that what you call these people? Omani foreign minister. Do we trust the guy or not? I don't know. From what I saw, is that they are completely against this and they disagree with it completely. But it's been reported, even confirmed here, I guess, by Grok. Iran reportedly agrees to give up nuclear material and breakthrough peace deal within reach. As per Oman's foreign minister, the mediator, Iran agreed to zero stockpiling of enriched uranium, blend existing stockpiles to the lowest level as irreversible fuel, and never have bomb-grade material, and to have it fully verified with the IAEA, a reported breakthrough with peace within reach. But there's no final deal yet, of course. The United States and Iran have to accept the other terms, which are astronomically impossible to accept. Iran rejects US demands like transferring stockpiles abroad or ending enrichment. Talks will resume soon in Vienna. Progress was confirmed by Reuters, New York Times, AP, and BBC. Yeah. Well, I don't think they're going to really send all their stuff to the United States. I don't know how they're going to give it up, though. It's all a big question, which I guess we'll get answers to some point next week. This is an issue. The United States claims that Iran has begun taking Americans hostage. The Iranian regime must stop taking hostages and release all Americans unjustly detained in Iran. Is this like a recent development, or are we talking about any hostages taken ever? Okay, this is a huge letter I'm not reading. Source, evidence, yep. That was mentioned by Marco Rubio, designating Iran as a state sponsor of wrongful detention. The exact quote was, "The Iranian regime must stop taking hostages and release all Americans unjustly detained in Iran." They make it sound like it's ongoing. I feel like we're talking about stuff from the past. So yeah, despite the potential peace breakthrough that we may be getting at some point next week, things are still escalating, and we have to pay attention to them. Between the US and Iran. Iran is starting to take Americans hostage for political leverage. The US Embassy in Israel is currently evacuating families. The US is moving major carriers and planes closer. Geneva nuclear talks ended with no deal, as Iran rejected the zero enrichment demand. Trump said that he is not happy and force is still possible. Israel is opening bomb shelters. China is ordering their citizens to leave Iran immediately. And the IDF is calling up soldiers for air defense. There are more technical talks set for next week in Vienna. We'll see then. It's not just China, by the way, ordering the evacuation. It's several other countries as well, including UK, China, which I mentioned, Germany, Poland, India, Canada, Australia, and Brazil are also urging their citizens to leave Iran amid rising tensions. We'll see what happens. This was Trump's speech in Corpus Christi, Texas, about Iran. He said that we have a very big decision to make. There have been 32,000 protesters killed. That's some number of people. They want to make a deal, but got to make a deal that is meaningful. I'd rather do it the peaceful way, but they are very difficult people. Also, this cap goes hard. Gulf of America. Nice. Yeah. On Kalshi, I guess, there's a 55% chance of a US-Iran nuclear deal before 2027. That's too long. Please tell me by summer. Because we don't want this issue to be prolonged up until 2027. That'll just not help the bear market case. Or it will, I guess, but not good for the bulls in the market. We have a very big decision to make. We have a country that's been, for 47 years, blowing people's legs off, arms off. It's been terrible. He's not naming Iran directly, but everyone in that room knew exactly who he was talking about. Uh-oh. Trump also thanked Venezuela and wouldn't stop saying what a very, very good relationship they have. He made sure to mention that the ship is the front and center, and the clip is from Venezuela. Oh, the ship in the background? Yeah. Only Trump can make gratitude sound like a strategic reminder. Trump also says that a strike on Iran spiking oil prices doesn't worry him in the least. Venezuela holds close to 20% of the oil supply. The other 20% of the oil supply goes through the Strait of Hormuz in Iran. But anyway, the US just took control of the oil fields, and this is the question you can ask. After asking everyone if they wanted to see something beautiful, Trump pointed to a seized oil tanker straight from Venezuela. Nice. Trump says he's pretty much decided who to endorse in the primary. When the reporter asked for a name, he said no. Okay. What else was talked about? Trump just ripped into the latest Iran nuclear negotiations, demanding zero enrichment, full stop. No 20%, no 30%, nothing. He wants zero enrichment for Iran. I'm sure they're not going to agree. They're probably going to agree to something like a very small portion with inspection from the IAEA. But yeah. And yes, he is in campaign mode right now. He's in rally mode because of the midterms. It's another thing that we're going to have to worry about this year. Democrats are projected to win it this time, so it's not looking good for the Republicans. And my browser just froze. Why does this have to happen? Now what do I do? What do I have to talk about? I gotta make up a subject, a topic. Well, I guess while we're waiting, how about the weather? I saw that we were actually going to get some really warm weather, like 20 degrees Celsius in Toronto on March 11. That's crazy. That's like in 2 weeks from now. And there's still snow on the ground right now as we speak, although it is melting away. Today was like positive 7 degrees. So that was cool to see, I guess. I still felt cold, though. I don't know. March 11, that's next week. Week after that on Wednesday. I feel like I should, like, take advantage of the snowy landscape that is outside with my drone or something. Because I didn't really film too much of the snow this winter. And we've had a very long winter, so I don't know, dude. Am I actually talking about the weather? Sorry. My browser's still frozen. What do I do? Like, literally, what do I do? I can't go to my charts. I can't do none of that stuff. You know what? At least we have Google Chrome working. Let's ask Grok. Oh, there we go. It worked. Forget Grok. What is this? Okay, cool. We've continued. Browser is back in business. Let's go. Luigi Mangione, the guy who killed that guy, Brian something from United Healthcare, CEO. He's escaped to the death penalty after the DOJ decides not to appeal a ruling, so he will just be in prison for the rest of his life, is what it seems like. Next up, we have a lot to talk about with Nancy Mace. I don't know why she's making the headlines recently, but here she is. So it's mainly talking about this whole Epstein stuff. We knew that Hillary Clinton had this testifying in front of everyone yesterday, and today it was Bill Clinton's turn. And this is the aftermath of that, and they're discussing what happened. She posted this on Twitter saying, "This is about justice, not conspiracies, not politics. We're only here for the victims and the truth," which is why she, as a Republican, went against the Republicans with the Democrats to try to release these Epstein files. Thomas Massie, I guess because he just feels special and wants to do anti-Trump stuff. I don't know. Marjorie Taylor Greene, I guess for the same deal as Nancy Mace. I don't know about Lauren Boebert, what her stance on it all is. I've not seen her talk about this at all, oddly enough, but she's one of the main supporters of getting the Epstein files released. And then, of course, you have Ro Khanna, mainly part of the Democrat side, pushing for the same deal, right? The release of the Epstein files, which we finally got, at least most of it. Both former President Bill Clinton and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton gave us a lot of insight we plan on using to further the Oversight Committee's investigation into Jeffrey Epstein. We're just getting started. Stay tuned. There's more to it. In former President Bill Clinton's deposition, he exonerated President Trump, under oath by the way, stating that he has no information that Trump did anything wrong, and nothing suggested Trump was involved with Epstein. Now that's 3 witnesses under oath, confirming that there is no evidence of wrongdoing. I'm sure Hillary was not happy about this, but okay. It's discussing how Democrats have weaponized this investigation to score political points against Trump at the expense of survivors. Because once again, that's what Nancy Mace is focusing on, the survivors, the victims, the people who were affected by this. 2 days, 2 Clintons, 2 depositions. Next up is Jeffrey Epstein's accountant and Jeffrey Epstein's lawyer. I think that will be Alan Dershowitz. I don't know who the accountant is. We are just getting started. And of course, before I get to that, Ro Khanna also wants President Trump to testify before Congress regarding the Epstein files too. Yeah, power move. I'm sure he'll accept. But I'm sure Trump has already mentioned this, saying that, oh, I've already been exonerated. I hate to see Bill Clinton go through this. Do I even have a post about it? I might. Whatever. And so, yeah. I guess we'll leave it at that. It's what it seems like. I don't think Trump will be questioned about this any further. He's always been dodging it. He's like, oh, why are you guys still talking about Epstein? That's his whole stance on the whole thing. Now the chair, Comer, says that Bill Clinton has Southern people skills and he's a charming individual, obviously. And he answered every question, or attempted to answer every question. So Bill Clinton did the right thing, is what this guy deems from the whole thing. Once the video and transcript are released, people will have more questions. Okay. Yeah, Bill Clinton testifies under oath that Donald Trump was not involved with Jeffrey Epstein. He also declined, or denied, I don't know why he would do this. He denied having the hot tub photo with some female in there too, which her face was blacked out, so we don't know who it is. When the first batch of Epstein files got released, remember that? A lot of photos of Bill Clinton. So, I don't know, maybe he's lying. Just saying. Anyways, this was funny, I guess. Nancy Mace also posted this, introducing the Death Penalty for Child Rapists Act to amend Title 18, which would authorize the death penalty for aggravated sexual abuse of a minor, and sexual abuse contact offenses against children. It will also amend the Uniform Code of Military Justice, UCMJ, to authorize the death penalty for the rape of a child. There are no excuses for harming children. We spent months fighting to expose Jeffrey Epstein's network of powerful predators. We've demanded accountability and pushed for transparency. Now we're making sure anyone who rapes a child faces the ultimate consequence. Children are the most vulnerable among us. Okay, I can't read. Children are the most vulnerable among us. Those who prey on them deserve the harshest penalty our justice system can deliver. So there you go, death penalty for child rapists. And then, this is a joke, obviously. This is literally transphobia, OMG. And she's like, wait, what does this have to do with transphobia? And then it's a meme, right? You get it? We're enacting the death penalty for pedophiles. Oh my gosh, we're under attack. Why would you say that? Why would you say that? But anyway, moving on. Thought it was funny. The recent decision of the United States Supreme Court, says Trump, concerning the tariffs, could allow for hundreds of billions of dollars to be returned to countries and companies that have been ripping off the United States of America for many years, and now, according to this decision, could actually continue to do so at an even increased level. I'm sure that the Supreme Court did not have this in mind. It doesn't make sense that countries and companies that took advantage of us for decades, receiving billions and billions of dollars that they should not have been allowed to receive, would now be entitled to an undeserved windfall, the likes of which the world has never seen before, as a result of this highly disappointing, to say the least, ruling. Is a rehearing or re-adjudication of this case possible? We'll see. Because now, there's this whole talk of a bunch of companies suing the US government for the tariffs that were imposed, and they want that money back kind of deal. I don't think that's going to happen. You're not getting a refund. Cope seethe. Yeah. Trump reposted here, what's his name? Who's this guy again? Michael Savage. And a list that he put out. This is what would have happened if Kamala Harris was in office. Top 11 things. Millions of more illegals would be crossing the border. There'd be billions of dollars more in fraud. There would be more criminals who would have been released. There would be limits on free speech. There would be gun restrictions, trans propaganda in schools, higher taxes on everything, more DEI hires. Military recruitment would have plunged. Police would be defunded and packed to the Supreme Court. Yeah, I kind of agree with all that. Now, even bigger news. Anthropic. We've discussed them extensively throughout the past couple days. This whole week, really. They refused to let the federal government, the Department of Defense, Department of War, to use their AI for mass surveillance of Americans or fully autonomous lethal weapons, like drones that can kill without human oversight, because they believe it risks violating rights and enables unlawful actions without human judgment. This is something that they had the deadline of today to abide by the laws, or, allow the US government to use their AI for this military purpose. They declined it yesterday ahead of, their deadline. And, we're just waiting on the response from the Department of Defense. Well, here's the response. Trump issues an order blocking government agencies from using Anthropic's AI technology. So if you use Claude under the US government, that is no longer allowed. Some people actually express their gratitude. Crazy enough. I don't know if this is crazy. I'm indifferent to all this, but okay. Outside Anthropic's office in San Francisco, Lots of support for their anti-military stance. People saying, thank you. What are you saying? You made the right decision. We are with you. Something oh, not Epstein. Einstein. Wow. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You do not stand alone. We love you. More what? What? Stay brave. Thank you for standing up to whatever. Power. Thank you, thank you. I'm not reading all that. But it's a bunch of like, thanks for not, you know, falling into the hands of the US government. Okay. Like, wouldn't it benefit the US government? But I don't know what they're really using it for, though. Maybe it is for evil purposes. But come on, it's the US government. How evil can it be? So yeah, Trump cut off Anthropic from the government. The White House ordered federal agencies to stop using Anthropic's AI and begin phasing it out over the coming months. The reported trigger is that Anthropic's refusal to relax certain safeguards on Claude for military-related uses. The administration framed the move as a national security concern. AI is no longer just a tech race. It's now firmly in the geopolitical arena where alignment with government priorities increasingly matters. So you should expect tighter scrutiny of AI vendors and a widening split between commercial AI stacks and defense-aligned systems. Yes. And this is what Trump posted on Truth Social about the whole thing. The United States of America will never allow a radical left woke company to dictate how our great military fights and wins wars. That decision belongs to your commander-in-chief and the tremendous leaders I appoint to run our military. The left-wing nut jobs at Anthropic, okay, there you go. They've made a disastrous mistake trying to strong-arm the Department of War and force them to obey their terms of service instead of our Constitution. Their selfishness is putting American lives at risk. Our troops are in danger, and our national security is in jeopardy. Therefore, I am directing every federal agency in the United States government to immediately cease all use of Anthropic's technology. We don't need it, we don't want it, and will not do business with them again. There will be a 6-month phase-out period for agencies like the Department of War who are using Anthropic's products at various levels. Anthropic better get their act together and be helpful during this phase-out period, or I will use the full power of the presidency to make them comply, with major civil and criminal consequences to follow. We will decide the fate of our country, not some out-of-control, radical left AI company run by people who have no idea what the real world is all about. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Nice. Yeah. So that's Anthropic. I think we could finally put the topic to rest, and like I said before, good thing they don't have an IPO right now because their stock would be crazy volatile with this kind of news going on, right? It's planned for at some point this year. But anyway, now on to some crypto stuff. We witness a brutal correction in crypto for 5 weeks straight. A lot can change in crypto in a short period, though. Here are this week's biggest news stories. So we've talked about Terraform Labs suing Jane Street over the Terra collapse. Allegedly, Jane Street used insider information to dump $85 million in UST minutes before a $150 million withdrawal triggered the $40 billion collapse. That's crazy. Ethereum dropped its most ambitious roadmap yet. There are 7 forks planned for release every 6 months up until 2029. That's crazy. Here's the plans. Wow. 10,000 plus transactions per second. Okay, rip Solana. Finality in under 16 seconds. Also rip Solana. Native privacy. Okay, what do you mean by that? Post-quantum security. Yeah, that's also needed with how quantum computing is advancing. Okay. Great. Ambitious for Ethereum. That's not bad at all. Ethereum might actually stick around for a while longer. I was always expecting, like, at some point in the future that Solana would flip Ethereum. Just based on how much better Solana is than Ethereum as a blockchain. Now, The only difference is that everything that exists currently in the crypto space is using Ethereum's blockchain because of how old it is. Right? But I don't know. Vitalik is a weird guy and he keeps dumping his Ethereum. Or he kept. I don't know if he's still dumping anymore. ZachXBT published his investigation into Axiom Exchange, insider trading allegations against employees who allegedly used internal access to front-run user data and trade accordingly. Axiom revoked affiliate badges immediately. ZachXBT, catching all this crypto fraud. The ETF flows reversed after 5 weeks of only outflows. $3.8 billion in outflows. $506 million flowed into Bitcoin ETFs, and $157 million flowed into Ethereum ETFs in a single day. That's great. It's a signal that institutions are treating 63K as an accumulation zone. Hey, I mentioned this too in the chart. 63K, 62, 63. Definitely great support level for now. OCC proposed a formal stablecoin framework under the Genius Act. I'm pretty sure I talked about this. I don't remember. This framework requires a one-to-one reserves, $5 million capital floor, and federal oversight for issuers. Standard Chartered estimates this could drive $1 trillion in treasury demand by 2028. But sentiment is still at extreme fear for whatever reason. So let's just not jump to conclusions just yet. Okay. What is this? Yeah, fear and greed index is at extreme fear. Bull market peak progress, 33%. We're very far from cycle top. Bitcoin rainbow chart is buy it now. It's at a fire sale. Have you seen that chart? Whatever. AHR 999. Don't know what this is. It's a strong accumulation signal though. The Bitcoin and ETF, the Bitcoin and Ethereum ETF are showing inflows once again from institutions, broad risk on return, and institutional re-entry after massive sell-off. Is there any better website than this one? Far side. Yeah, we're seeing some good inflows on the Bitcoin ETFs. Get out of here. And the Ethereum ETFs. 25th of February seems to be the best day for inflow, whenever that was. That was on a Wednesday, my friends. Because I would really like to see the other ETF inflows. I guess I'd have to research my own website some other time. Why specifically on the 25th everyone decided to inflow? But okay, that's good. Good overall. BlackRock received another 4,082 Bitcoins worth $269 million from Coinbase Prime, which means that they have been accumulating Bitcoin for 3 days straight with a total net inflow of 9,615 Bitcoin, $635 million, as proven by the ETF inflows there, which is a good thing. While retail panics, these guys are inflowing. According to Arkham analyst Emmett Gallick, Trump Media and Technology Group disclosed in its latest 10K filing that their Bitcoin holdings decreased from 11,500 Bitcoin to 9,500 Bitcoin, a reduction of approximately 2,000 Bitcoin. It wasn't sold, but they were pledged as collateral to a counterparty, which has the right to rehypothecate them. As the company no longer retains control over these Bitcoin, it was required to derecognize the assets from its balance sheet. Interesting. That's for the Trump Media Technology stock. Okay. We also have the U.S. authorities freezing and seizing $580 million plus in crypto linked to Chinese scam networks. Let's go. We're stealing crypto from the Chinese. We're seizing it. We're not stealing it. They stole it. Was there any Bitcoin, and will we add this to the strategic reserve, is my question. Even if there was, doesn't seem like it was enough. Or a lot in the first place. Yeah, Tether can blacklist your stuff, by the way. Which is why, if you're a criminal, you should use Monero. Just saying. How do we see this? Come on. Come on. I guess I can ask Grok. Was there... my caps lock is on. Was there any Bitcoin seized in this operation? They were running a pig butchering scam in Southeast Asia. I feel like this was old news. I swear we already talked about something like this. And was it added to the US strategic Bitcoin reserve? Oh, I put a end bracket, square bracket there, whatever. And also, when did it happen? That would be my other stuff. Does not indicate that Bitcoin was among the cryptocurrencies seized. Boo. So it's not it. It's just Tether then. Or at least a lot of it was Tether. And November 2025? Was that when it was then? March 2025 was the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve. When did this seizure happen? Is that the right way to say it? When did this seizure happen? Seizure, I think, like, you're convulsing on the ground with epilepsy, right? Yeah, it happened on February 26th. So it was yesterday. It was announced yesterday, at least, that they did the seizing. Published on justice.gov February 26th. But there was no Bitcoin specified in this. Okay. Boring. No addition to the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve. I was literally talking about it yesterday, like, how will we ever accumulate more? Where is Cynthia Loomis? What was the point of the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve? Yeah, you're never going to sell it. You never were going to sell it in the first place, but at least we have the guarantee that you won't until eventually you decide to. But of course, you're not going to sell at a loss, will you? I don't know what's going on, but yeah. Now, this also came out. The White House wanted a deal on stablecoin yield for the Clarity Act to be done by this weekend. Will that happen? According to a banking source with direct involvement, the answer is no, because we were expecting something by March 1st. This guy says, Patrick Witt made the unfortunate error of going out to the press and saying he'd get this done before March. It's not going to get done before March, the source said. The crypto and bank lobbies are still far apart on the issue of yield, which is holding up a crypto market structure bill. Is there language circulating? Yes. Is the language close? No, the source said. We're not close to a bill. I think that there's a very real likelihood that this thing falls apart unless Brian Armstrong comes to the table, the source added, referring to the Coinbase CEO, who has been adamant that stablecoins can generate yield for users. The source emphasized that banks want a deal here, but figure chances of passage could drop to near zero in the next month. Let's go, Clarity Act delayed longer. Eleanor Terrett says, lots of crypto industry folks jumping into the defense of Patrick J. Witt. No idea who this guy is. Council of Advisors for Digital Assets. Oh, really? I did not know that. Sorry, dude. And the White House, following comments from an unnamed source claiming to be directly involved in the stablecoin yield talks. It seems fishy, but it's literally like we're believing this from a trust me bro source. So how do we know? For sure. She says, I shared the post and the crypto Twitter reaction with a banking side source who has direct knowledge of the negotiations. They said the bank trade representatives who attended last week's White House meeting were perplexed by the characterization, and they do not share the unnamed source's views and have already relayed that to the White House. So whoever this anonymous source is, ABA bankers, ICBA, and bank policy representatives said that, no, that guy's crazy and we disagree with him anyway. Additionally, they were unsure why the individual characterized the situation in such nihilistic terms, noting that both sides are still giving input on text and aren't necessarily living or dying by the March 1st deadline. Also facts. So we might still get it, is what she is really saying. It's about the US crypto legislation. Stablecoins like USDC want to pay yield, so interest or returns, to holders from their reserves. Crypto firms such as Coinbase are pushing for this, but the banks are opposing it, fearing competition with deposits. That's the big issue with the market structure bill right now, the big holdup if you're confused about it. A source said that White House talks are stalled and there will be no deal by March, but banks are saying that the talks are continuing positively. It's not as dire as claimed. Ongoing negotiations for a market structure bill. Please and thank you. We need this. I talked about Paramount yesterday, but I didn't really give you guys the numbers. Here's the numbers. Paramount Skydance, a company worth $12 billion, has just agreed to acquire Warner Bros. For $111 billion. How does that make sense? But okay. Paramount also had to pay Netflix $2.8 billion for a breakup fee for snatching the merger. Hey. How does that work? Also, can I do that? Like, can I just say I'm going to buy Warner Bros. For, I don't know, I'll give you a crazy number, $100 billion. And then Paramount comes in as like, no, we'll buy it for $111 billion. And then I'll be like, oh, okay, well, you got me. Can you pay me my $2.8 billion, though, for breaking up the the negotiations? And, hey, I'll just become a billionaire that way. I don't know, I'm probably oversimplifying this. But yeah. And my last post for today is the banks apparently are not doing well. US banks and credit card companies are facing their worst sell-off since April 2025. JP Morgan, Bank of America, Citigroup, Wells Fargo, American Express, Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, down 3, 5, 5, 6, 7, 7, 7.5%. I said 6, 7 in there. That's all for tonight's stream. What else do we even expect? Honestly, I don't know. It seems like a shorter stream today. Yeah, not much really happening. No war with Iran. We're going to continue those negotiations next week and see what happens. Maybe we get some update on the crypto market structure bill by March 1st as people were expecting. Let's hope that anonymous source was wrong. That's really all I could draw from these conclusions here. Yeah, can't think of much else here. But I do expect, some point next week, we should start seeing the rises happen due to the fact that we are too oversold, due to the fact that we're in an uptrend, due to the fact that we're going to be approaching a downtrend line. You could argue that we're still on a downtrend there, and you'd be kind of correct. But super trend, I think, especially for Bitcoin, is in our favor. Altcoins, they did have their premature flip around. Some have maintained it, some have done a fake out, they've lost it. But ultimately, all altcoins, by the looks of it, have already the green uptrend for the super trend, which you already know what that leads to. So that's why I'm more confident that by some point next week, we'll break 70,000. We'll start seeing some upper movements. And in the 2 weeks after that, we should approach around 80,000. I don't know if it's going to be shaky, if we'll drop below 70,000 once again. I just hope we do actually break above it, get rid of this downtrend line, and then have the space available to rise at 80,000 at whatever point. Or if it does take too long, which, by April, that's going to be way too long. Possible, I don't know. If this is part of what the bear market is like, so be it. Not much else I could do other than let you guys know my opinion on where I expect things to be. So, yeah, 70,000 next week and 80,000 in the next 2 weeks after that. I'm going to stick with that and we'll see how it goes. And we'll also see how Monero develops here. It's drawing out pretty well. I like that. Okay, that's all. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Like, subscribe. I'll see you tomorrow.